Well, I got some good news in an email this afternoon that, I had some trouble with two of my four classes, and I didn't take two of the finals. I got the message today. What is wrong with this? I'm trying to snap this up here. I don't like showing off my manly chest too much. I didn't take my two finals. Turns out my grades were good enough to still qualify for my scholarships. So I'm told to come in and let's start picking classes on Monday. So that's good news. A lot going on, ice in the news, Minneapolis. I wrote down, if you thought Stacy's mom had something going on, so did your mom and dad. That with all of the talk about the Brigitte Macron dating the 14-year-old student when she was 40 years old, met him and fell in love. Now she's the first lady of France. I remembered that. Something about Fountain of Wayne. Stacy's mom had it going on. It's weird. And I didn't take any pictures of the screenshots because they're too racy. If you thought Stacy's mom had it going on, that was done for a reason. Tonight, I'm probably going to be showing you how they're probing. They could be set up, false flag. Were they killed? Was it fake? Everything from Charlie Cook to the woman who was just shot 3 times by the ICE agent for using her vehicle as a weapon. What did they find out? If it was a false flag and somebody did it, what did they learn? Well, you can do something like that, any incident, and 100 squad cars showed up, and 100 300-pound cops came out of their cars going like, "What's going on?" They stood around going like, "You get off the sidewalk." That's a group of people that's a target. This is not going to go well for the United States. They're probing, they're learning, they're finding out the United States weaknesses, which are many considering their fighting age, population, are couch potatoes that think evolution, toxic masculinity, and whatever. So they want to gather. They're going to learn how to gather 100 police cars in the same place at the same time. They will be gathered like fish in a bucket, like a pheasant with clipped wings. That's what my dad lived on Stagecoach Road on the Illinois River there, and they put in a pheasant hunting club so rich people could come down and shoot pheasants that had their wings clipped. Some of them would hop their fence because they could fly for a little bit. And then last time I ever hunted, I'm not a hunter. I went out to see. We ate them, 2 pheasants with a 38 special. Oh, my wife was proud of me back then. Will faded love be like a fever? This faded love we have for the United States and, what we thought was real. Can fever weaken but also be healing? There's that argument, that, let the fever run its course. Don't take Tylenol. It's doing something. Would you, as a man, rather take a hot poker than tell your wife what to do, what to wear? Could you dare say anything contraire without the threat of, Meanwhile, another mile walked in my own moccasins. Let's not forget the empathy of the others who don't even have moccasins. You may forget that first love, but it is a milestone that marks the start of your soul's single identity's eternity, a daily battle with the world showing false love to we still dealing with weak flesh. Non-stable vibrations affect your electric brain. As a magnetic powered battery, your polarity is spinning for some reason as a Mobius strip, a figure eight amelina, in with the good oxygen, in with the good blood, out with the old, it's that swastika, and your body is that temple. Living water is real. Gold, silver, and precious stones are real. They were built up in the rocks, the mountains that were the titans, and the men who died in the flood that were changed with the glittering sword. That's the short season theology. It's nothing without the stones crying out. I'm going to be showing you some of the new people trying to argue like, oh, it's preterism, it's amillennialism. You short season people are mistaken. No, I am not. This wasn't started because I had a whim. We're going to be looking at what is a conundrum, what is a false Panglossian. The false Panglossian is a false emergency of panic that they put upon the people. We'll be looking at 1 John chapter 3, Gospel of John chapter 3. So hold on for that. And then I want to take questions. I want to look at the news. A lot going on. I want to have a smoke. So I know some people don't want to watch me smoke the organic tobacco. So I'm going to click off here, show you the thing that, hey, fair use. I'm going to be saying things that the world will not agree with about medicine, finance, theology. Dig it. I'm showing you this because the effect of, you know what that is? That's how they get the crowd, and they show you a crowd. See, they'll film it as they walk along this line here, show these people, come here, and then swing over here and show like another group being held by a fence. This is how they make it seem like there's a massive crowd protesting something. There are crowds protesting. Mar-a-Lago. I'm just saying somebody said, and I'm not a fan of the Glenn Beck, but they went to a party. It was a beautiful tribute. 1,000 people were there earlier in this short. They said it was $10,000. 1,000 people showed up to give $10,000 a piece. Border Patrol shot, conducting a targeted vehicle stop. They were very weird. A lot of weird stuff going on. Hey, so this way back in the day, 16-1, silver's a thing right now. It really is. Hey, look at this. March 1st, 2020, people started looking for Satan's little season term. Well, Golden Age Past in 2020 would have been a better thing because the name of the channel that started it was Flat Earth Nation Golden Age Past. Yeah, it's taken off. It's going to keep going. It's the truth. But it's not an ecumenical movement. It's not come on, Mormons, come on, Catholics, come on, charismatics. Everybody's welcome. All you have to do is believe in Satan's little season, Golden Age Past. That's not it. There's so much more. They think her and her husband scoured it and they came up with this is what we believe. Again, with the 1776 thing. I honestly do not know how they pulled that rabbit out of their hat. So this girl here, she said, F word, black, C word. I'm so pissed off at these Black Lives Matters and Me Too. Well, they didn't like that. She said she's not an old racist. She's been made a racist. And they finally vacated her position. You know what that meant? She was on paid leave for 15 months and she finally retired with a full pension. But if that was you, would you get that treatment? What does this look like one of those old pictures from the Starford, baby? Yeah. Yeah, it does. I liked it. His mom sent him a picture, said, "Is this real? Because it's making me sad. Because, dogs can't breathe underwater. It's so fake. That dog can't breathe. So it's fake, right?" With a question mark. Yeah, it's fake, mom. It's fake. We got trouble with the AI. Charlie Kirk had a vision. The core objective of what Charlie was studying when he was a child, the core objectives of the gateway process were to enable participants to achieve out of body experience. The man that mentored him, according to a 1983 report, Colonel Wayne McDonald, the process was designed to enhance the coherence and aptitude of brain wave output. And he was a very coherent, he's just a special guy. Charlie had it. And he's a coherent oscillator, like a battery, like you. I don't know. Is that a lot? Job openings dropped to 7.1 million. That seems like a lot of jobs, but I don't know. I guess I thought that was something better. Man, taking picture of rivets. There's something to it, man. I saw a computer put out a thing about what's up with these rivets. And, it's obviously was all computer, but it was asking a good question. That's a lot of rivets for a lot of things to just come out of nowhere. Here's our world. She's standing here. I remember back in the 60s when they put the National Guard out, the hippies would put a flower in the end of their barrels. Didn't stop them from shooting some of them, but it was a better picture than this. This is a head gate, one of those big dams in the early 1900s. At the bottom of this head gate for diverging the are these tunnels filled with rivets, inside, outside. So you have to have room for a guy outside too, and then fill it up. So that's a big water diversion, 1931. These turbines were invented in 1913. We couldn't do anything to make electric power somehow but they were making it in the 1880s in the mountains with the Tesla coils. But there's for water, well, we'll have to look at it. There was a new letter sent out January 6th. Postal Service employees and contractors have badges. Something's going on. The bearer of this letter with the accompanying United States Postal Service identification badge provides essential service to the federal government. It's almost like they were preparing. They did this in 2020, saying, if there's any interruptions or if there's emergency, we're going to still deliver the mail. And it's dated January 6th of this year. They will therefore continue to fulfill our public service mission by accepting and delivering mail. Although postal employees are essential workers that may be exempt from state and local directives, any decision by the Postal Service to continue operations during an emergency must ensure operations can be conducted in a manner that protects the safety of the employees. Well, that means they probably gonna start shooting your dogs. So there was this crazy letter, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. I always have to wonder if I'm sharing. No complaints that I'm not sharing. Let's see what I got pulled up with this thing. Is this that one that I had? smug pro-choicer gets humbled.
Suffer who don't have access to abortion. You look at more progressive countries, and hold on, let me finish. I was telling him I was a sociologist. I've read the statistics, and I specifically read on people who don't have access to abortion.
Yeah.
Way worse outcomes in their life.
Okay.
There's a lot of death that comes with people who aren't allowed.
So you are concerned with death and suffering.
I'm concerned about the death and suffering of the person.
Right.
Who is
So
carrying a clump of cells.
to understand our position,
Yeah,
just
I get
include the concern for death and suffering to include all humans.
Yeah,
But if you just include some humans that you care about,
you don't care about the humans that are walking.
no, I do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I don't think they should be murdered.
No, but you think they should
They-
suffer.
No.
You have the statistics.
No,
that
we
show
should help
people
them.
who have access to this
Yes.
live better lives.
I
and
don't
outcomes.
think that abortion helps them. I don't.
It does.
I don't think evil helps people.
To help these kids that are unwanted.
Well, this is one thing.
Are you going to adopt
This is one
all
thing.
the kids in the foster care system who
Yes,
you are?
I have adopted all the kids. It's a ridiculous argument. Like,
no, it's not. Because
well, no, think about it. Can I be against?
it's
Listen,
not because there's
What-
plenty of
Adopted all
what?
the-
So I'm against. Listen, here.
kids in the foster care.
Let me help you out. I'm against sex trafficking children, right? You are too, right?
Oh, yes. correct.
Okay, I can be against sex trafficking children, and if you were like for it and you said, well, how many kids have you
Well,
adopted?
let me ask you this.
That wouldn't invalidate my opposition to sex trafficking.
That's not the strongest point, but
No,
It's pretty strong.
no. You're
human embryo,
using the
fetus.
Adam and Steve, like it's the exact same logic.
Is that what? Adam and Steve?
You're using the exact same logic as people who are anti-LGBTQ. You're using the exact.
What are you saying?
You're saying, oh, why can't I just like marry a cow or some shit? Like there's a decline.
Well, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is,
making
if someone says
no, you're
a
making an
human,
assumption.
I'm not making any assumptions. Trust me.
No, you are.
What's the assumption that
The
I'm making?
assumption is a clump of human cells.
No. I'm saying a human.
Yeah.
So I believe in human rights. I believe that humans. We disagree on this. This is the presupposition that we disagree on.
Yeah.
I believe human beings are valuable because they are humans. So I attach the whole right to life and the dignity and the protection, the justice, all that stuff to all humans equally, regardless of the humans like
But you
mental faculties, their race, their religion.
And I
All
get that.
humans should
We-
not be murdered.
We can move past that. We can move past.
But that's where we debate, because you don't think of humans.
No. But the problem is, see, what I'm saying is, you can have your idea that a zygote or a clump of human cells that's dividing.
I hope you think this is important. This is what's important. I made a promise to myself in the mid 80s when I was still in Bible college that I'm not going to let people just drop like, oh, abortion, I'm glad it's legal, without always every time saying, well, I disagree. I don't think it should be legal. I don't think it's helping. And to my knowledge, I never let anybody just casually just drop it in the crowd at a dinner. And I knew I was with other Christians before I made that thing that had let it go, but I would not. And I don't think we should. It's Baal worship, the Moloch sacrifice. There's no getting over it. This is why we're being judged. Our country allowed this and then foisted it upon the world.
Is equivalent to human. You can have that.
No, not equivalent, just
So-
is.
That is literally what equivalent means. But let me tell you. So
Well, a human embryo is a human by definition and by biology.
what equivalent means. But anyway, what I'm saying is you can have that. But the
Mhm.
problem is the stats of people who suffer who don't have access to abortion. You look at more progressive countries, and hold on, let me finish. I was telling
Yeah, see, they don't have proof. These people keep coming back. A little bit more at the beginning here, because he explains this part really well.
And wall, there's implantation.
okay.
So we're talking long after the zygotic stage, about 7 days, 6-7 days. All right, so when the human embryo attaches, they are a human being meeting their mother for the first time. And so that's the very first time that there's like an embrace between mother and child.
But that doesn't make any sense because why would
Just
why
scientifically
would,
speaking.
why would that zygote not be, by your definition, alive before it's hatched?
They are alive. They're just not yet. They're just not implanted yet.
So do you believe
So all
sperm? Do
no.
you believe sperm and eggs?
Sperm is it's a organelle that's transporting the genetic material of the father to meet the genetic material of the mother.
Correct.
So the ovum and the spermatozoa are not humans, but once you have the fusion of the genetic material from the male and the female, you get the conception of a new human being. That human being does live about 6 to 8 days as a embryo prior to implantation. At implantation, if implantation is successful, they begin to have that relationship with the mother where they're receiving nutrients and all that kind of stuff. There's an enveloping, they grow. So eventually they're going to become a fetus. They're going to go through the fetal stage of development.
So you know your anatomy, which is good. But the problem is, and I was talking to him about
No,
this.
there is no problem. The problem is their argument. Well, if I did not kill this child, I would not be able to go to the party in 3 weeks. I don't remember.
See what's happened to that country, but the cartels are running and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The
cartels are. The cartels are. We didn't have a drug problem before a couple of years ago when Venezuela did this.
It's horrible. It's devastated families.
He's the president of peace. He stopped 7 wars.
Who's a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying too with drugs. So we've done a really good job. We're knocking it down. The numbers are really getting to be, they're always going to be too high if you have one person, but they're going down just like the.
Unbelievable. I don't know what's this one here. Did I have not a comment or something? Let's see what we got here. Here's the little season. I have this one pulled up. I don't know if we need to look at it. I have the word pulled up, but it's simply they drop these things. Let's see what she says.
Modern corrupt Bible translations that seek to go back to the original languages. The logical trap. If the Geneva Bible writers working in 1599 AD were living during the millennium, 599 real-time in SLS chronology, when they wrote specific dates that fall after the end of the millennial reign, anything after 1076 AD, they would be writing about events in their future. Despite the fact that these notes are written in the past tense, we can allow for the possibility of prophetic writing in the margins. However, this presents its own problem, best explained.
You know what the problem is with this? The Geneva Bible. One thing that the mud flood movement and theology and everything does is it brings the Atlanteans, the UFOs, and everything else out. I feel like I was betrayed by somebody who, sent me one of the Septuagints, and it's like, Paco, you really did a good job on figuring out this theology, but it's the Septuagint. That's the real true version. You should read that. Or, oh, it's the Geneva Bible, or it's the King James, come on. It happens to be the Masoretic texts, of which the King James did use, as it said, the best ones available. They had 9 at the time. There's over 2,000 now that align. The scriptures are preserved. They are correct. We don't need to argue about, oh, it's the Book of Geneva. It's this, it's that. It's the scriptures. Now, the claim here, oh yes, a mass absurdity. I've been looking into it, but the 1500s generation did not mean one single generation as we use it today. It carried the connotation of race or entire people. The Catholic version correctly calls it lineage. The Roman Catholic version isn't going to do it right. Let's look at the 17 times this word is used. That's a pretty strong root word right there, people, because they're there is words for almost everything in the Greek. And when you want to talk about an adulterous generation, so there is an adulterous type of people. One type of people have more adulterous feelings than others. There is this wicked generation. This adulterous generation seeks a sign. So there's a race of people out there seeking a sign. This is completely stupid, counting on people not to look it up. Not a one of these is going to be anything where it could be like a linkage of people who might someday do that. The period or the persons, a generation and age. Not that they're going to always give you, they'll always try to slip in something to make it seem like, well, maybe it's a race. But it means this generation. Some standing here will not see death. Some who were pierced me, Caiaphas, the high priest, you'll still see it. You personally.
Millennial reign had already happened, we assumed that this was a version of full preterism, and that's not what they are. And so they'll be very, very clear that they are not full preterists. And that's important because full preterism says...
Yeah, it took a couple of years to get Shelley and some JT loves JC back when the clown boy was doing his thing. They always were going preterism, preterism, preterism. It's preterism. It's like, dude, there is already a religious movement that the Jesuits started a long time ago called preterism. But eventually they did come to it and say, yeah, oh, we're not doing preterism.
Jesus already came back. Everything in the Bible has already been accomplished. There's no prophecy yet to be fulfilled. And
the short season, mud flood theology, golden age past theology does not say that. We obviously have the great white throne of judgment. We are being encompassed about. So those haven't been fulfilled. Unless you're thinking they were fulfilled some other time.
So people who are full preterists wouldn't be able to say the Apostles' Creed, for example, because that includes this affirmation that Jesus will return to judge the living and the dead. So you can see full preterism would say all prophecy fulfilled by 70 AD or around then with the destruction of the temple.
And full preterism has been debunked. They find something appalling.
Israel, it can be very confusing. And so they're trying to find then a theology that lines up with that and provides room for critiquing Israel.
Mm-hmm. They also, I think, take seriously the fact that there's a number of different parts of our history as humans that we just don't know and are a little mysterious and a little confusing. And so this is an appealing way of thinking about our history because it provides some of those answers. It connects some dots that otherwise we as a society haven't been able to connect yet.
And it's like this special knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like this in-crowd feeling to it, that it provides a way of thinking that's like hidden and mysterious and secret and only.
And you know what? It could be that the Lord is showing a new thing from a prophet. There's nothing new that comes without the prophets. And this is real. This is happening. In your comfortable house, I enjoy it while you can.
Necessarily mean that we're at the end just because things feel chaotic to me right now. And we still do have this future hope.
Yeah, I mean, if you do look through history, and you don't need to have conspiracies for this, you see seasons where Christians have been persecuted and experienced suffering. And there are times right now on the other side of the world, other places where Christians.
You know, why does it feel like, you know, they've got to hang on? Because they are post-millennial. They are preterist. They are millennial. They're ones who believe that, you know, there was a lot fulfilled in it. But post-millennialism believes that slowly and surely God's kingdom is going to cover the whole earth. Then he returns and the millennium starts. Post-millennium believes, yes, Jesus returned in 70 in a sort of spiritual way, but he didn't return in his glory where every eye could see him on the flat earth with the unscrolling of this curtain of the rakia. So it's a big, big deal. It is not simply a small thing. They do not believe the millennium is over when that is the whole golden age past theology, the short season theology. Super important. I wish it was easier to share. So thank you guys for that. PSYOP on 33 Street, sure. Everything's always 33. But a call for an uprising, probably the best intro to any show available. He's, they flat earth, check it off, but still waiting on Jesus to return to start the millennium.
Brigham Young became the president of the Church of Latter-day Saints. And of course, he was also a Freemason, right? Because Mormonism and Freemasonry are one in the same. It's filtered, it's plagued Mormonism with Freemasonic teachings. The people who are, sometimes I get comments from Mormon people on my channel. And look, I don't like to go after people like, if you have a belief about what the mark of the beast is, if you have a belief about, if we're in the tribulation, if you have a belief about if there's going to be a rapture, I'm not going to attack you for it. Okay. I have my own beliefs. You can have your beliefs. If you believe in Jesus Christ, that's what matters most.
He's a full Trinity believer, but they all know the anti-Masonic, things are bad. But does this guy have a great intro?
From phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call.
For me, it's a call to beat your sword into a plowshare and realize we're not going to win in a fight against robot dogs. What's going on live? What's going on in the world? Sounds like some tear gas or fireworks. Gee whiz. I was looking at as I showed in the pictures earlier, cofferdam, turbines, cofferdams in a vessel. It's just a way you need to make a dam. Somehow it's coming down to how we control water. Turbines. Look at that. That's a generating the power right there. That's 61 years in service. Not invented until 1913. I don't know where they did with the dams and that they show us. See how they got the thing here where they can move these things. 1913, they can move them to adjust the flow. I understand that you have to be really, really careful with your tolerances about the way this thing spins. It causes a massive amount. I mean, that's a tight fit. Somehow they did it. They just popped up out of nowhere. A guy said all of a sudden, you know what, we can do it better. We can make super improvements. And they did. And they let it work out for a long time, and now the judgment is here. The judgment is here. the Mississippi River still falling down. I made a prophecy. I really have a couple of things. The Spirit doesn't come and say, "Let's say it's the Lord here, let's go." But low river levels, freight barges. I saw a thing here. I don't know if I saved it, but maybe we'll get to it later. Now, this
We're getting evidence.
obviously they're dressing up not only Michelle Obama, but Bridget Macron. I mean, there's something to this. It's a rabbit trail, but we know they're doing it. The question is why.
Intelligence on
Let's
Macron's
go,
sex
Donald
life.
Malone.
Inventory of what was seized at Mar-a-Lago caused a transatlantic freakout
Oh,
between
yeah.
Paris and Washington.
Yeah, Anna is making a good point. Like the way that the Macron family has been censoring social media. So this is a way bigger issue than she's a transgender. She's actually a man pretending. It has to do with everything political, everything decision, everything. They're going after Christians. They're promoting transgender. And it gets worse than that. They promote worse things than transgender. And you're going to see Emmanuel Macron openly puts this book in take a picture of him in his office, and he puts a book out there that's literally bragging about doing bad things to little boys.
No
It's so
way.
weird. It's so messed up. You think I'm making it
I'm
up.
sorry,
I'm not.
what? Well, then, for example, for whatever reason, it became known to the public that Brigitte Macron, who fancies herself something of a designer, wanted to install an erect penis with golden balls to become the new spire for the Notre Dame Cathedral.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Brigitte Macron backed.
Wow.
Picked a carpet from an artist known as Claude Levesque. Okay, this is a photo we're showing you right now of that hand-picked carpet. She really wanted to get involved, and that piece was known as Black. Regarding Claude Levesque,
it's a very ugly carpet, by the
and
way.
that piece was
Look how
known as
ugly
Black
this
Sun.
is. That's like the dumbest carpet. It's so stupid. I can't imagine someone paying for that.
Okay. Regarding Claude Levesque, people started pointing out that there were a lot of pedophile undertones in his work, a work of a man that through various commissions had sort of become this quasi-official artist of the French Republic. Le Monde, and just so you know, Le Monde, you're going to hear me speaking about that a lot, that is the French equivalent to the New York Times. This is what they wrote about Claude Levesque's lifestyle. Quote,
Oh boy.
Claude Levesque refers to the teenagers around him as his godchildren, nephews, assistants, and even sons. These cuddly toys and teddy bears that he carries around the world.
You got to be kidding me. And people take these people serious. She was 40 years old when she met the 14-year-old boy and couldn't keep her hands off him. That's about the same age group as Stacy's mom, who had it going on. Did they? This had to be a setup, right? So these are children. That's the girl waiting on her mom. And it's going to, how old are these kids? This is the girl, and they're going, you got to be kidding me. Take him to the pool. Honestly, he's fantasizing. They're showing it. He goes to the bathroom and starts masturbating. The teenage girl walks in on him, and she thinks that she's happy because she thinks it was he's thinking of her. This is what they're teaching people today. And not this. So Cash.
Is the real conspiracy theory? What does the evidence prove and disprove? Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, former history professor, Army and Marine Corps veteran, and welcome to this episode of Forgotten History. Saw 58 people killed, hundreds wounded. The world demanded answers, but law enforcement offered something far worse than uncertainty. Conflicting timelines, shifting statements, delayed evidence, and no motive. Early briefings contradicted later ones. Witness accounts clashed with official narratives and even each other. Key evidence appeared, then disappeared, then resurfaced months later.
Kind of like Sandy Hook, Boston Marathon. It's wash, rinse, and repeat.
And then, almost overnight, the authorities shut the door. No final comprehensive report, no deep public explanation, just case closed. That silence created a vacuum, and vacuums get filled. There was no denying that Stephen Paddock pulled the trigger, but he is not the only villain of the story. The villain is institutional defensiveness.
I think there's a lot of doubt whether Stephen Paddock pulled the trigger.
Echoes created false firing positions. Sound bounced between buildings and off glass windows. The reason people believe this theory is not unusual and is explained by basic science. The fact that Paddock used bump stocks before they were widely known and sold to the public
Sure.
into the crowds, people said. One theory that surfaced was that it was a failed assassination or terror operation and that Paddock was a patsy or
Well, you know, that patsy word goes around quite a bit.
Selective audio recordings, which were released slowly and selectively, killed their credibility. The hotel security failures were downplayed, such as not being aware that Paddock had stockpiled weapons over several days without any suspicion being raised. To the public,
Yeah, it joke. I looked up a corundum, a very hard mineral. It's not a conundrum, a corundum, very hard mineral. It's used, you know, for grinding, smoothing, or polishing. It's like a ruby or a sapphire, except if they called it a ruby or a sapphire, the ruby or sapphire mines would go out of business because they'd realize we're grinding up what you say is very expensive only to keep like diamonds. Diamonds aren't rare. They could be used for that same smoothing and polishing. The corundum is like a gemstone. You can clean it off. It's like saying, I don't want a zirconium. It's not a real diamond. A zirconium, not a fake zirconium, is a real diamond. It's what 3/10 is, you know, it's almost as hard as a diamond. But people, oh, I don't want it because they don't want you to want it. What do we got here? So here's these turbines. You know, you want a turbine today, rebuilt one. $10,000. So these are the turbines that were invented in 1913. Who knows how old this one is? It could be 80, 90, 50, 100 years old. Terry manufactured. Maybe 70s, 60s, 70s. But 10,000 for a rebuild. If you're going to want something, you don't want anything recent if you're going to be hunkering down for the next 20 years trying to hide from robot dogs. You're going to want to find and learn how to fix these old machines. The steam turbines, sure, you're going to see the the Greeks knew about it, but it was just a funny little game. The machine, pressurized steam, thermal energy. Of course, they'll have to show you the little toy. And then they had some steam jacks. You know, they were doing things. They were, pumping water out of mines in the late 1600s with water pumps. The dynamo that just dropped out of the sky, and all of a sudden, oh, we got a dynamo, and now we can make money. Thank you, Tesla. It's like a coil, and we'll just make them a million times bigger. Westinghouse, Edison, he shocked an elephant. But these things are expensive and hard. And then that Terry company and other companies in 1913, after they invented them, they just started kicking these out. It's kind of like they went from putting corks in a bottle to being able to do 40,000 an hour because they just developed a machine to do it. Just turbines, $100,000 for one. Takes 2 years to make it, but not back then. Now there's some of the, I read something weird that some of the new turbines, they're going to be sealed and it's not going to use water because it's going to be, it's just more efficient. They're up to 80% of the world's electricity are driven by electric generators. Look at that, 1894 steam turbine power ship. So it must have been a different type of turbine than turbine, because I was pretty close that they're giving it down to the invented 1884, improved in 1913, because that year was jumping out at me as a big deal. It seems like a lot. It seems like a lot. So here's one of the first pictures of a dynamo. Made it with wood, not rivets. That's just more pictures of the early dynamos. That's quite a jump up, from like, if we do this, we can send Morse code, a ... That's going to be our hope. We can find a dynamo and hook it up out in the country. Let's see what else we got here. Well, I didn't need that. So let's look at John 3. Do a Bible study tonight. We get enough going on. No one can see the kingdom of God unless he is born again. The obvious question is, what do you mean? Can I climb back in my mom's womb? That's not what Jesus is talking about. Flesh is flesh, born of the flesh. Spirit is born of the spirit. Not everyone is going to be born again. Not everyone is going to be given the gift of faith. It's like the wind. You hear the sound, but you do not know where it comes from or where it's going. So is everyone born with the Spirit. You don't remember being born. I don't think you remember when the Spirit was in there, but slowly something changes in you and you realize, I'm a repenter. I'm not going to keep doing what the world does. I don't love that anymore. There are earthly things, there are heavenly things, but the whole thing, the Son of Man must be lifted up for one reason, is to show that nobody really dies that way. You're going to be changed, metamorphosed. You are a spiritual being for eternity. And if God has changed your heart, you had that first love. The light has come into the world, but men love darkness rather than the light because their deeds are evil. Well, if you have a yoke that's light, a burden that's easy, and you have Jesus to say it's worth it for, that's the only way you're going to make it. Because our spirit's willing, our flesh is weak, but in hanging on to the plow, not looking back, because that's how you prove you're not worthy. You can't look back. A man can receive only what is given him from heaven. You must be born again. You did not go to a church service or a service before you were born and decide, I want to be born. I'll take those two as my parents. They look pretty. They look smart. They look like they have a lot of money. You didn't choose your own birth. You didn't choose to be spiritually born. Everybody would have, you know, if they could choose their own spiritual birth, wouldn't they choose to be 100-fold Christian? I'm in the good soil. I'm in the good seed and plenty of sun. Well, yeah. What about the 30-fold Christians? They're still Christians. God gives each one of us talents in every situation that we need to do. What we need to come to the understanding of is why. This is why the Son of God was revealed, to destroy the works of the devil. Not some crazy, the Son of Man appeared and revealed because there was some crazy Satan that had already sinned and talked a bunch of following angels into going down and raping some women. That's not the very beginning, because Satan, the devil, has been sinning from the beginning. There's your first sinner. Everything after that is an object lesson to the angels of why they made a bad, very bad decision. It almost as if Malachi was correct. They had a den of thieves, and it was called the temple. The Gentiles were digging it because they thought it was the truth. But your words against me are harsh, says the Lord. You ask, what have we spoken against you? These are that wicked generation. They said, they answered him, well, you say it's futile to serve God. They asked him, what have we gained by keeping his requirements and walking mournfully before the Lord of hosts? They didn't want to do it anymore. They had a den of thieves that were cashing in. They say, so now we call the arrogant blessed. Not only do the evildoers prosper, they even test God and escape. They had no fear of God. They didn't want to act sad like the people of John the Baptist. They were repenting daily. So it was at that time, those who feared together spoke with one another. That is a very narrow road. When the believers who feared God in Jerusalem, there was only, and you know, they had access to a library like it would have been the, you know, the Alexandrian library or the Hittite library, full of everything ever written. But they said, no, God bless them. They need to figure out from all of those books, they made a scroll of remembrance. They picked from all of those books, the ones God approved of. It was written before God. That's how they chose the Old Testament. The New Testament was given mostly by Jesus and his servant Paul. And that's one that the evil people will go, no, Paul's not a real apostle. That's so old and worn out, it's stupid. They have a book of remembrance. We have our Bible. Jasher's not in it. The book of Enoch specifically is not in it. Now, there you go. I've lost the crowd. It doesn't look like there's going to be any questions. Everybody's got it all figured out now. So I might as well just remind you, it is a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. I'm not going to tell you anything else. I know it's the truth. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakamain. Adios, amigos.